Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 92 of Those Muckrakers. I'm Pete.
And I'm Pat.
Can you hear the train outside? I realize my windows are open, and it's very loud outside. I wonder if it's picking that up.
You know what? I can kind of hear it. There's like a white noise in the background, just a whirr of the train skedaddling along.
Hang on. Oh, I have to do that opening again as I close windows.
Nah, one take. We got this. We're going.
All right, one take. Fuck it. Whatever, man. We're doing the background noise. It doesn't matter anymore. We become more unprofessional as time goes by.
As the episodes roll along. Yeah, well, Fuck it. We did it live. We did it live!
All right. Let's see. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Before we get to the political stuff, there's some, I don't even know what to call this. There's an opinion piece, and there's a, let's see if we can make Pat throw up piece. Okay. I wonder which one you'd like to do first.
Opinion piece? Is this going to be the OK Boomer one?
Yeah, I think this would be our OK Boomer moment.
Wonderful. All right. Hit me with that one.
All right. Well, just to give you a little background, if you're not up on things, you don't understand. Apparently, I can't tell if it's media manufactured or if boomers really are upset, but there's a new insult going around whenever a baby boomer says something stupid about climate change or, social justice. You just go, okay, boomer, and then you go on about your business.
Yeah, it's a dismissive insult. It's kind of funny, I think.
Yeah. So I think it's fine. I think it's probably blown out of proportion. I think that boomers probably don't care about it as much as the media wants us to think.
Yeah, I haven't actually met any boomers that were upset about it.
Right.
I mean, outside of just being upset that they feel like they're right about something and the kids are being disrespectful. But even then, I haven't seen anyone be all like, "You don't call me boomer," or anything like that.
There's a couple of things the media's blown up on online where some boomers are like, "This is worse than the N-word," and it's like, not really.
Oh, yeah, they were trying to say that boomer is the new N-word.
There will never be a new N-word because the N-word is the N-word. There's not a new...
Yeah. The old one has not been retired yet, so we don't need a replacement.
If we want boomer to be the new N-word, we're going to have to enslave boomers for 400 years.
I'm okay with that.
I'm kind of all right. Well, if you remember, one of my presidential fringe platforms that I ran on was bring back slavery, but make it age-based. So as you reach a certain age, you are now enslaved.
Holy shit, you're ahead of the curve here.
So that you can serve a function in society. I know it's going to be wildly unpopular, but once we take away everybody over 60's right to vote, it won't matter.
Just speaking of OK Boomer, these days I'm becoming increasingly comfortable being able to say that I'm actually a millennial. Because I remember 10 years ago or so, that really bothered me that I missed the cutoff for being able to say that I'm Generation X. Because Gen X, it just sounds so cool, right?
Right, yeah.
But then I found out, no, you're a millennial. And I'm like, shit. So I'm in the same category as Jogamesh and all of them. I don't want to be those kids. But as time pressed on and I began to get more and more complexes about just getting older and older, I realized, no, I'm okay. You can bundle me with the kids these days and call me a millennial too. I am fine with that.
Once you realize that after the baby boomer generation, all the rest of the things have been made up for marketing ploys, then you're like, oh, this is all dumb anyway.
Yeah. I mean, they try to divide us up into generations just so that they can have, bundles of people to market this, that, and the other too.
Yep. But, yep. Well, speaking of your OK Boomer moment,
if they can tell you are this and your people like this, then you will buy that because they say you're people like this. It works for age, it works for all kinds of things, social class, etc. Okay, proceed.
So this is from The Atlantic. This is a piece by Peter Werner, and he says, "The presidency deserves respect even when the president does not. If Trump critics think they're going to win a race to the bottom with the president, they're wrong." And he makes a point basically about that the Game 5 of the World Series where the president was booed by everybody and people were chanting, "Lock him up."
Okay, my God, so many things. Is this the make Pat throw up news?
No.
Oh, okay.
This guy's arguing about being a traditionalist for our institutions and saying the office of president deserves respect, even when the actions and presidents at times don't.
Strongly disagree.
I don't know, man. I used to think that like, yeah, even if you don't agree with the president's policies, you should respect the president. But at the same time, I don't know, man, because it's like it's very difficult to separate the man from the office. And if you're going, oh, I'm just respecting the office, isn't that a really easy way to just say I'm going along with what he does, but I don't agree
Yeah,
with it? You know
that's
what I
like all the
mean?
people. That's like all the people that say, no, I'm a woke independent. I'm not a Trump supporter. However, I'll support everything he does and constantly
Yeah,
find ways to criticize Hillary Clinton.
exactly.
Like it's just a disingenuous shield for people to hide behind. I
I
believe that
think
some
so.
people may actually respect the office, but I firmly believe that respect should be earned, not inherent. I don't think anyone should, or anyone, or anything in the case of the office itself, should just inherently have
Well,
respect, or else that dampens the idea of respect to begin with.
what if somebody said you should respect the office of the Führer, but maybe not necessarily respect
Hitler.
Hitler? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit like, wait, what? It's a little bit weird when you change the context of it.
Yep.
No, I think that I'm God. I wish I had the printed story of this. You might have told me about it. There was a town in the old West times where like the citizens were really pissed off at the mayor, so they all went to his house and they tore his house apart by hand and threw all the pieces into the river.
Yeah, I think you told me about that story originally.
I wish I had the original for that, but I'm kind of like that. I'm like that.
That's
We
funny.
should.
It's like
Yeah.
his whole house went straight into the drain because they were upset at him, and they had the manpower and the wherewithal to just tear it apart board by board and send it floating. So
See,
yeah,
so that's my kind of destruction. I'm not like let's kill him or drag him through the streets. I'm like
no,
let's
I
go to
say
let's go to
let's throw his fucking
Mar-a-Lago.
house in the river.
Yeah, let's go to Mar-a-Lago. Let's go to all his properties and let's just pull them apart brick by brick and throw them into the fucking river.
Let's tear Mar-a-Lago apart and throw it to the crocodiles in the swamp.
Yeah, I don't think that you get respect because you are part of an office, you know?
Yeah,
And I don't think it's a race to the bottom to boo him
right.
every time he walks out. Like
So
any,
that's
go ahead.
I was just going to say, so that's like an argument that people started like way back in 2015 saying, you can't shout Trump down. He was the loudest voice in a crowded room of like 16 different people that were combating each other to be the GOP nominee, right? He was the loudest voice in a crowded room, and anyone that tried to play his game and shout him down, well, Trump has no humility, so he would never feel embarrassed. He would just get louder and louder and grow more and more insulting, and he'd never apologize. He'd never back down. He had no limits to how cruel he could behave and treat other people. So yeah, like no one could ever win a shouting match with him.
I
So,
could.
that.
I absolutely could. And you know who else could?
Who's that?
Legendary comedian Don Rickles.
I would love to see that happen. Now, none
Right?
of the
It just
GOP could shout him down. I'm sure that some
yeah.
people could.
Just because they were
But
trying to shout him down while staying on script. But can you imagine Trump and Don Rickles in a debate, and Don Rickles is like, "Shut up, you hockey puck."
that would be wonderful. But yeah, so anyway, the whole idea being that maybe you shouldn't boo him because you don't want to play on his level. No, fuck him. Definitely boo him whenever he goes out into the crowd because you got to let him know that what he's doing's wrong. He
Yeah.
is like a dog. He cannot understand unless you pop his nose. Don't be all like, no, don't play on the dog's level by popping his nose when he pisses on the carpet. Let him piss on the carpet, then call him a good boy. No, Trump is a bad boy. He's a very bad boy, and we need to pop him on the nose and say, no, that is wrong. You don't, what's he doing? Murdering all the Turks or the Kurds? The Kurds. He's murdering the Kurds with the Turks. He's murdering Mexican children in his baby cages, and he's murdering people in Puerto Rico by doing a shit job taking care of the hurricane by not taking care of the hurricane, and he's murdering a lot of people. He's hurt a lot of people, and this isn't even getting... That's the stuff that he's legally allowed to do. This isn't even getting into all of his crimes, his fake universities, his... Anyway, I digress. He has done a lot of bad shit.
The point is, I don't think that because you win an elected office, it was a tough one for me because I'm like, yeah, there is something sacred about holding the basically like being trusted by the people to govern for them. But
And might I-
ultimately, if you look at the source of our governance, it's all based on the idea that power comes from the people, not from a monarch or from an office. So therefore, maybe he should respect the people. How about that? You know what I mean? The office
That's
means nothing.
traditionally, that is what happens, right? Like the president respects his or her boss. Well, in the entire history of the United States, it's never been or her boss. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Elizabeth Warren will finally be able to start saying his or her boss, but I digress. The president's never had to, or the president has usually respected his boss, which is the American people, all the hundreds of millions of American citizens out there. But this guy doesn't. He just says, no, 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 I'm the only one that can fix it. I'm the best. I'm the bigliest. Aren't you all so lucky to have me? Which he literally tweeted out this week, by the by. Yeah, he believes he's the only one that does all of this, and he believes that everyone should respect him and do whatever he says. And if you have anything negative to say about him, it's fake news, folks.
Well, here what's the whole you give a psychopath and then she'll take a mile. But here at those Muckrakers, we don't respect anyone, including ourselves, so...
Least of all ourselves. That's
Least of all ourselves.
That's actually been one of the best motivators I've had towards self-improvement and exercise lately, because you would be surprised at how powerful of motivator a healthy serving of self-loathing is when working out. Because let's say I'm working out until I'm in a great deal of pain. Well, who cares? It's just some asshole that's in pain anyway. Let's keep going. Let's get those gains, fam.
Let's make Pat puke news.
Oh, no, that's still coming up. All right, let's hear it.
I got a question for you first. As a reformed smoker,
yes,
do you think that smoking should be banned in our nation's prisons?
In the prisons? I didn't know it wasn't banned in our prisons. I figured they were doing it anyway, but I figured it was like banned, but they would do it without anyone knowing it?
It's banned in 23 states and heavily regulated in the other 27. So in 23 prisons, you can be in there for life, and you'll never taste a cigarette again.
I am going to go with the same stance I had when I was a smoker and say that people should be allowed to smoke whenever, wherever they want, unless it's like a hospital or something where it would actively be making people around them sicker.
Right.
Otherwise, there should be smoking sections inside of restaurants, and if you don't like it, go to a different restaurant. Or go to the other side of the restaurant, or just don't be so whiny. Just let smokers smoke.
Yeah.
But now as a non-smoker, I would fucking hate that, because I don't have a sense of smell, but I could taste it in the air. And it would definitely, if I see people smoking, make me want to smoke. And I can't, be around that because I know not to trust myself.
Well,
so, personally, I would hate that. But I believe that personal rights and freedom should come before my own level of comfort.
So imagine that you are in prison for like 20 years and you have to watch the guards smoke, but you can't smoke.
Is that how it was? I thought you meant that prisoners could smoke in some states, like 24 states.
It's heavily regulated in the 27 they can, but in 23 it's outright banned completely.
So in the heavily regulated ones, can the prisoner smoke, or is it just the guards?
Oh, the guards can smoke in all of them.
Okay. So I still believe that's fine, because if the prisoners genuinely can't get their hands on smokes, then in about 90 days they'll be over it anyway. They might be annoyed at seeing the guard smoke, but they're not going to be actively suffering.
Well, when they banned the prisoners from smoking, apparently just violence broke out all over prison. And
maybe they shouldn't have banned it then. Nicotine fits are fucking terrible. Let me tell you, as someone who's a smoker for 15 years.
Imagine a whole prison full of psychopathic killers with having nicotine fits.
I say, yeah, ban their ability to smoke at your own peril.
Well, anyway, it creates a huge prison black market for tobacco.
Yeah, that's always been a thing. You keep a pack of smokes in your prison pocket, and you can use it to buy a new bitch every now and again.
Yeah, but like that was when you could buy them in prison. Now you can't even buy them. So
that's interesting. I always assumed that people had others smuggle it in, but I guess you used to be able to just buy cigarettes in prison then?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. So what the prisoners are doing now to get their hands on that sweet, sweet nicotine, it's a new thing called cop spit. Basically, what prisoners... Yeah, cop spit.
Gross.
What prisoners do in prison now is they kind of hang around and they wait till like a guard is not paying attention to his... chewing tobacco spit bottle. And
okay, I'm out. I'm going to go get a new cup of tea. You finish telling the people about this. I'll be right back.
It gets better, though. Come on. Stay with me. Don't leave. No, Pat, don't leave. This is Make Pat Puke News. And if you don't puke, what's the point of all of this?
Okay, I'm back again. What I miss? Did you tell
So,
the people the story?
so Robert Rosso says it's all nearly used
Oh
chewing
no, it's
tobacco,
going still.
taken out of the officer's spit jar, dried in a microwave, and rolled up with toilet paper wrapping.
To quote the Vanco lady from Mad TV back in the '90s. La 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 la.
According to this guy named Andre Cooper, serving 3 life sentences, he says it's not just any chewed up tobacco; it's spit infused chewing tobacco that a officer has spat out of their mouth on the ground or in the trash or in a soda bottle. They're smoking this stuff filled with all types of germs and diseases from the officer who spat it out.
As a man that has suffered from many nicotine fits, I've never had one that was bad enough that I would just take someone else's spit.
He says
Like
this
that's
guy
like
Cooper.
I mean I'm not even someone who would be willing to like be baby birded as a joke, right? Like let alone if it's tobacco gloop that was spat into the trash can or on the ground in a prison. Come on.
Well, this guy says it's all we got right now, so I'ma smoke it. Here's where it gets even better. It's a lucrative practice. A 16-ounce soda bottle filled with spit and chewed up tobacco can get you close to 100 books of stamps. That works out to $7 for 20 stamps a book. So let's see, 100. And there's 20 stamps in a book. So what? 7 times? That's $700 for a fucking thing of dip spit.
Yeah.
It says prison gangs are actually beefing in prison right now over who controls the chew trade.
Beefing or boofing? Because that would be another way that they could insert the tobacco.
No, beefing. They're fighting. There's gang fights over cop spit.
Yeah, God, why? Just those dogs you can like throw a treat and they'll like run by and jump up and they'll catch the treat in their mouth and keep going and then you throw
Yeah.
another treat and they run and jump. I'm picturing like a cop sitting there and he has like a bucket he's spitting in and like a prisoner runs by and he goes to spit in the bucket and the prisoner like jumps and does like a flip and catches the spit in his mouth and he gets to the other side and runs on. Then the cop goes to spit again and he runs jump and catches it in his mouth and runs off and it's just
This guy
it's a
Slim
trick.
says,
It's a trick that they taught the prisoners.
This guy Slim says, guys going crazy to smoke cop spit. And many say it's way stronger than regular cigarette tobacco.
Oh, this is the worst. This is torture, Pete.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is, like, so if you've got people so desperate to smoke that they're smoking cop spit, I think one of two things needs to happen. Either tobacco is banned, for prison guards can't use tobacco products, at work, or you just let prisoners fucking smoke.
Just let them smoke. Oh my God. Why make them have to go through their asshole to get to their elbow? Just like let them smoke and let them have wine that wasn't made in the toilet.
The reason I think prisoners should be able to smoke is because I think you need certain you need to be able to vent. You need certain releases if you're in an environment like that. It's a pressure cooker. You have to vent it. So if you're in there for life, fuck it. Smoke all you want, sonny,
Yep. Smoke them if you got them. You're in here a while. And what else are you going to be doing all day long? Lifting weights, smoking.
Cop spit.
Yep, smoking cops. Maybe that can get you some time off for good behavior. All right, so
that was the Make Pat Puke news.
Well, it was successful. All right, so what's next?
All right, and this is the thing I've been paying attention to. It's very upsetting to me. In the United States, right now, we've talked about it before, the most important thing that makes our democracy work is a smooth transition of power.
Yes, that is correct.
Whether you win, lose, or draw, we have a plan for it. You lose, you concede. You win, you take the office, right?
Right.
So, in Kentucky, they had a gubernatorial election. They had
this brings us to our blue wave news for the week.
Right. So in Kentucky, they had I believe the governor election. I believe that's what gubernatorial means, right?
Yeah, and Andy Beshear won the governor's race in Kentucky.
Yep. And so Governor Matt Bevin and Democratic challenger Andy Beshear ran. It was a very close race, but Matt Bevin lost by about 5,000 votes. It's like half of 1%. It's super close. But uh,
There's
what's his name? The fucking I keep getting their stupid names confused. So Bevin immediately, and this is what pissed me off, immediately goes, I will not concede my governorship. There were definitely irregularities going on. And so he refuses to
he's
step down. So you have a fucking governor that refuses to step down. Now they're talking about letting it go to the Kentucky. What do you call it? What is the state Congress called?
the Congress. I don't know.
What's the word? The Kentucky GOP basically it's
Yeah.
still Republican controlled. So they're talking about the houses in the General Assembly, basically, right?
So
But
instead of letting the people decide who wins, they're just going to try and let their tiny little oligarchy decide.
yeah, so they're talking about basically the
That's
Republicans are about
that's
to
an
steal.
autocracy.
Yeah, the Republicans are about to steal an election right in front of us, and I'm interested to see what they're going to do. Um, but like everybody's reporting that like all the votes are in. No one's reported any irregularities. I know some places have an automatic if it's
That's
that close, they do a recount just to be sure, right?
yeah. I don't believe they do that in Kentucky though, because Mitch McConnell was very careful to twist Kentucky around his little finger to make sure the GOP could win forever,
But either
and
way, the
that kind of
man.
backfired.
But either way, the man won. He won the governorship, even though it was only by 5,000 votes.
He
He
still won.
still,
Yep.
even if it's one vote, he still won.
Yep.
And the other guy immediately cries foul, and
And he blatantly lies, just like
yeah,
how Trump will lie and say, read the transcript, no quid pro quo. But he's saying that based on nothing, because the transcript is what got him impeached to begin with. Like the transcript only says that he's guilty. But I mean, at least there is hope on the horizon, because Mitch McConnell's power may finally be eroded enough that he could lose it. Because it's like George Takei said after Andy Bashir won, a Democrat has defeated the GOP incumbent for governor in Kentucky, even after Trump held a last-minute rally there. Oh my, Mitch McConnell in the White House must be having a tough night. Sending my thoughts and prayers.
um, but the problem is, once we lose that transition of power, once you can lose an election and go, I'm not fucking going,
Yeah.
then we're fucked. Like, and we're fucked if it starts on a local level, because you got to believe everyone's going to be watching this. Every fucking governor that doesn't want to lose power, and if they see,
That this works and everyone will do it.
and then no one's going to fucking leave, and then we're fucked. And that was the dangerous thing about this whole 2016 election, was the fact that it was contested and it was not accepted as the actual result. And that's what makes me mad. So on one hand,
Politicians.
they talk about impeachment subverting the will of the people. Well, more
No.
people voted for Hillary than Trump, so
Yeah.
no. He lost the popular election. Two, I don't hear anybody on the fucking right-wing radio side talking about how this is subverting the will of the people. So when you win, it's the will of the people, but when you lose, oh, it must be irregularities. Like,
Yeah.
this makes me so angry.
And like the will of the people is, we've all decided on the Constitution forever ago, and in the Constitution there is impeachment, and within impeachment it says if the president abuses his power of office, then he should be removed. And I mean, Trump's been doing nothing but that the entire time he's been in office.
Right.
He commits so many impeachable acts every single day that it's hard to keep track of them all. Like the same week he was impeached for the Ukraine thing, he also told people to commit crimes to build his wall in time and that he'd pardon them. That's also an abuse of power that's impeachable, but he's not getting impeached for that. He's getting impeached for the Ukraine thing because there's a more clear-cut case of him actually doing actions here, right? Like he held up weapons saying that he wanted dirt on Joe Biden and his son. He wanted the
Yeah.
Ukrainian guy to say what he was doing, or to say that he was investigating it publicly so that people would cast doubt on Joe Biden. And, so we have the clearest cut case of quid pro quo ever. So that's why this is such an easy thing to impeach him on, and the GOP has no defense, and that's why they're just banging their fists on the table and shouting, because the law's against them, the facts are against them, everything's against them.
What I don't
so
understand,
they're
I
just
guess-
pretending like they're deaf, dumb, and blind. That's what Lindsey Graham's doing.
I guess because we're so fucking far past what's normal anymore. I started watching Vice last night, that movie with that weird
Dick
biopic
Cheney?
on Dick Cheney. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a really funny moment where Carter won the election, and all of a sudden Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld and everybody, they were all out of a job, right?
Yeah.
and they were just kind of like, oh shit, you know what I mean? They didn't contest the election. They weren't like kill Carter. They were like, that's the way it goes. And oh man, I just wish we could get back to that. Like, you lose an election, all right, we'll fucking start working on the next one. You know?
Right? As much of a monster as Dick Cheney is, at least he never tried to subvert the will of the people. At least he never tried to blatantly lie about what was going on. He didn't say, another 9/11 happened, and that's why we got to keep attacking them. We got to go because Iran attacked us with a nuke just the other day. They blew up Kentucky. There's no Kentucky anymore.
That's because
there was no blatant lies like that, like Trump does constantly. Because
Dick Cheney. If you look at the Batman movies, Nick Cheney was Ra's al Ghul, right? He was evil, but he was evil with a purpose, right?
Right.
And now we've got the fucking Joker, but not like nearly as smart. Just a guy that's like, I don't have a plan. I'm just the president. Like, and so now we're like,
okay, I'm just Bigly. All right, everyone needs to love me, especially Ivanka in China.
I never knew that, and you just reminded me, speaking of China, I got some Chinese news. I never knew that we'd have a president that would want so badly to just be loved, but then to do everything he possibly can to make people hate him.
It's so fucking weird, isn't it?
So speaking of, well, it's because
we're still in blue wave news, though. I have a bit more of that.
Oh, you got more blue wave news? All right, remind me to give you me Chinese, me play joke news.
All right, me put PP in your Coke. All right, so
we're so gonna get banned by China.
I mean, that was kind of the goal. We already had a Revolution of Our Time episode. Free Hong Kong. Where were we? Okay, so Democrats and
take it.
We had some 2019 elections. Not many of them, but it's an amazing litmus test for just how deeply unpopular the GOP is right now. Because they kept trying to say impeachment's going to backfire. It's going to make people like the president more. They're going to think that the Democrats are being whatever. But what we're seeing is that the people fucking hate the GOP right now. They're losing everyone. Like, Trump still has his insane little cultist base that'll follow him no matter what, which many of those are made up of people who are normally non-voters, like deeply paranoid people that live in their, shotgun shacks out in the middle of nowhere. So They should hopefully all disappear once Trump's gone and they're back to just stock and standard politicians. But in the meantime, those people are still around and still supporting him. But everyone else hates his guts. And we are starting to see that as Democrats in Virginia have taken control of the state legislature, giving the party a majority in both chambers of the state house for the first time in nearly 25 years. So because the Dems won so huge here, they'll be able to redistrict Virginia in a way that'll affect the national elections for the next decade.
Well, I hope they redistricted in a fair, equitable way, not like, we're going to drop for Democrats. Like, let's make it fair.
I mean, that's one thing I hate about all this, is that the Dems always play by the rules, whereas the GOP just cheat their fucking heads off. So,
they should have learned a lesson that the hatred for Hillary and Obama was so great that it energized the base and got Trump elected with some handy help from Russia. And now Trump is doing the exact same thing, but he's energizing his opposition. He's energizing the base of the opposing party, and the more he does, the more it energizes the base. So if they were really smart, they would just shuffle Trump off and just cut off his Twitter account and just cut all the White House phone cords and then be like, Romney, you're going to be our guy.
Yeah. So, when we covered Bashir winning the governor's race in Kentucky, Dems have also taken control of Mike Pence's hometown for the first time in nearly 40 years, as they now have the majority of seats in Columbus, Indiana's city council. Virginia also elected the woman who flipped off Trump's motorcade that one time, Julie Briskman. Remember?
Yes.
Remember how she rode by and flicked him the bird and it cost her job? Well, now she's been elected to something, so that's cool.
Beautiful.
And Mississippi was the other big voting state, and they of course the GOP won there, but they only won by 52% in Mississippi, so arguably it's a purple state now.
Well,
competitive for Dems in the future.
They won 52% in Mississippi because anybody who tries to get out and vote the wrong way tends to get shot and found later in a river somewhere. I'm alluding to the Freedom Riders back in the 60s.
Yep. So, that's all the blue wave news I got. All right, Chinese.
Well, before we get to Chinese news, let's just to tie into the blue wave news. I feel a little bit like at a certain point with the Christian right, we're going to be like Tucker and Dale versus Evil. You know that movie with the two rednecks where like the kids just kept getting themselves killed and they thought it was Tucker and Dale doing it?
Yeah, I adore that movie. I've seen it like 12 times.
Well, that's how I feel about the Christian right, talking about how they're so persecuted.
I don't understand. They just keep throwing themselves into the wood chipper. I know that one kid impaled himself right in front of me. I was so scared, Tuck.
So, earlier in this week, Ralph Reed, founder of the Faith and Freedom Coalition. By the way, it's a weird world in which they make me hate anything named faith and freedom.
Yeah, as soon as I hear, like, American this or freedom that, I'm immediately like, oh, there's something deeply deplorable about this, isn't there? Because they can't stand on their own virtues, so they try to, like, throw a shield up to be like, can't hate me, I have the Bible and Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Just tell me what your stance is, and then we'll judge you based on that. No, it's the Jesus Jew bashing club, you see?
They get super like, they're riding on the back of an eagle to freedom while carrying a veteran of 3 foreign wars coalition. You're like, God, Jesus Christ. You're a patriotic tryhard is what you are.
So this Eagle Coalition, what do you stand for? Denying water to black people? Oh, okay.
I can't wait till we get our first GOP senator that it has a fully covered in tattoos that are just the American flag. He's just covered in tiny American flag tattoos, just head to toe, face, arms, everything.
I got 50 stars on me if you can find them all.
We'll deny right to vote to Mexican Americans.
I was about to say, that's probably going to be a sexual harassment lawsuit if you can find them all. But anyway.
So this douchebag Ralph Reed, founder of the Faith and Freedom Coalition, he did an podcast interview with this guy named Steve Strang, and he talks about he details the favors that Trump has done for the Christian right. The U.S. Supreme Court picks, dumping the Iran nuclear treaty. How does dumping the Iran nuclear treaty help the Christians? I don't understand that one. Like,
I got this one. It makes the world a much more likely place to get nuked into a nuclear winter, and the apocalypse is many Christians' goals because that means it's the end times, and then Jesus will come for them.
Are we still living in like they're trying to bring the end of the world so they can ascend into heaven thing?
That's my guess. Like, that's how it would help Christians, right? If Trump could get the world nuked into oblivion, he makes that a bit more possible now that he fucked up the deal that Obama had. The only thing that deal did was Iran saying, okay, we won't make nukes for like 15 years if you don't sanction us further. And Trump was like, no, all the sanctions. And he just broke a deal that America made. And you could say, oh, well, Trump's the one that broke it, but to the rest of the world, America's the one that broke it, right? So everyone in the future will be like, no, never trust America with a deal, ever.
These people are going to be crazy surprised when Jesus doesn't come back, but their gums bleed and their teeth fall out from nuclear, radiation. Anyway, so he got down to his duties as Trump's evangelical whip, because he's Trump's Jesus guy. Yep. And he says, and I quote, if the Christian community doesn't rise up like it never has in modern political history, and if we allow through our inaction the left to remove this man from the Oval Office, then we will deserve everything we get. And if they get the White House back, it will be open season on Christian ministries, on churches. The IRS will be able to persecute those faith-based organizations again. They will, under Obamacare, be able to force them to pay for abortion again. They will be able to sue the Little Sisters of the Poor and drag God-fearing nuns into federal court and make them pay for abortion. That is what will happen if we don't turn out and vote in the biggest numbers ever. Then we will deserve it to happen. So, really,
the only thing they even have is abortions.
Yeah, that's the only specific. If they get back, they're going to force us to collectively pay for abortions. Also, I love
if we allow Donald Trump to be drugged from the White House, then women will have control of their own bodies. They'll be able to make decisions for themselves, and their own healthcare decisions can be made not from the hand of a man, but from their own minds. We can't allow this to happen. Get out there and vote, Christians.
My favorite part of all of this is the IRS will be able to persecute faith-based organizations. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and tell all you Christian dumbfucks something that apparently have never looked in the Bible. There's this really cool question when Jesus was still kicking around, and they were like, "Hi, Jesus, what should we do about these taxes?" And I guess they were really waiting for him to be like, you should fuck the tax man up, right? Kick his ass, Seabass, right? Like that's what they were waiting on.
But you know what he said?
He just goes, "Yeah, man, you should just pay your." Yeah, he's like,
Give unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and give unto God that which is God's.
yeah. He goes like, hey man, whose face is on the money? And they're like, Caesar. Do we kick his ass? And he goes, then it's his money. Give it to him.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, God, what? Fuck. God damn it! I don't like that at all. It's real peaceful. Yeah, I think churches should be taxed. I don't think you should be a tax exempt organization because you're a fucking religious whatever. That's great that you're religious, but you own property and assets within the United States. They should be fucking taxed, and you should be happy to pay your taxes.
Yep.
If you're a Christian, I don't know how Zoroastrians feel about it, but I know that Christians should be super psyched to pay taxes.
All right, like, what was I going to say? So the Christians are the ones that always say they love this country so much, and if they do, then why not help pay for it?
Yeah, that's weird. They love the country, but they do not want to pay taxes.
Yeah, they don't want to actually give back. They just want to take.
But
that seems very selfish of you.
Here's the crazy part, though. They don't want to pay taxes, but then they want to tell me what my tax dollars should be used to teach in school. So they want to have a say in like how public
taxes
schools
are spent.
Yeah. But they don't want to pay them. So I got two things for you: pay your taxes and then shut up.
Yep.
I mean, we'll never get either one of those, but I love that it'll be open season on Christian ministries. I'm like, do you really honestly believe that we will open up like a deer hunting season, but only for like Christian ministries?
Rabbit season, Christian season. Rabbit season, Christian season.
And what, pray tell, are the penalties for hunting a Christian out of season?
Like a $15 fine if you get more than 2 of them.
Is it? And how big do the Christians you're hunting have to be during Christian season? Like, because remember, you don't want to shoot a pregnant one because you'll mess up the population.
Right. So it's instead of like a head of antlers, it would be like how big a Pope hat they have on. So
maybe, I don't know. I don't understand what he's talking about with this. This whole
he only has like a little Pope hat on, so that's still just a baby. You got to wait for the Pope hat to grow bigger.
Yeah, I got a 5-inch Pope hatter right here. Yeah, I don't fucking yeah. But this fucking Christian alarmism, they're coming for us. No, they're not. If you really looked in the mirror, you have become the thing that you fear. You've become the persecuting mob that drags people from their houses in the night. So, good going, Christian, right?
That drags nuns into the courthouse and says, pay for abortions!
Yeah. Listen, man, abortion, I like the way the Supreme Court ruled out in the 70s. It's not a moral issue. It's a medical issue. It's between a woman and her doctor. It has nothing to do with you. Go back to not paying taxes, asshole.
Yep.
So,
all right. So,
in Me Chinese, Me Play Joke news, and I feel like I got to preface this. I'm not making fun of Chinese people. I'm making fun of the Chinese government of China.
They are assholes.
Because my Facebook feed, I use it as like I subscribe to a bunch of different news sources, so I see these news headlines. One of them is China Daily. And China Daily, right now, they're real hard on the propaganda where they're like, oh no, look at the protesters. They set a man on fire.
Did they?
They did. They really did. But the cops also shot like 3 people on Facebook Live. Yeah, just like running in, grabbing people, throwing them to the ground, and then just shooting them point blank.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, China Daily does not show that. They just go, violent protesters, and then they get people who I guess are supposed to be regular Hong Kong citizens, and they go, I was trying to go to work today, but the protesters raped my family. In the Hong Kong protests, and you're like, oh, come on.
They're the Fox News of China.
Pretty much, China is its own Fox News.
I was just trying to go to work today, and Antifa showed up and raped my family.
Yeah, pretty much. So all the people that are protesting for democracy in Hong Kong are basically Antifa, according to China. And so, yeah, some guy got set on fire like 4 hours later by protesters. Now, here's the crazy thing that China's been doing, and nobody's talking about this, and this drives me crazy. China has seeded the protests with their own agents, who then start violence, so then they can step back and go, look how violent the protesters are.
Yeah,
And
that's why I was curious about the people being lit on fire. I was wondering if that's a
now,
actual false flag operation.
no, I don't know if the people that set the guy on fire were actual protesters or they were Chinese government agents setting a dude on fire while they were pretending to be protesters. It gets down to the level of what's his name from Tropic Thunder, where he's like, "I'm just a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude." You're like, I don't know what's going on, but the Chinese government does a lot of that. So it's very possible maybe protesters did set a dude on fire, or maybe the Chinese government set him on fire. And look what the protesters have done.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm kind of surprised at the way they're handling Hong Kong, honestly, because they seem to be taking a much, and you can't see me doing air quotes, a much lighter touch than I am used to the Chinese government doing. And by lighter touch, I mean they're shooting people point blank, not running them over with tanks.
Well, that guy was actually arrested, not ran over, but
Right, but you know what I mean. Like,
but I mean, he was disappeared after that. So you know.
yeah, I'm surprised that like they're just not like nerve gassing all of Hong Kong. I'm kind of surprised at that. I guess they're trying to work on their image.
No, they actually they tear gas. They don't nerve gas, and that's why part of the image of the protesters is someone wearing a gas mask.
Right,
because
right,
they
no.
are getting gassed.
Right, but I'm surprised that China hasn't just dropped a gigantic like bubble dome over all of Hong Kong and then just pumped like pesticide in there till everyone's dead. And then when people are like, what are you doing, China? Oh, we're just fumigating Hong Kong. Don't worry, come back.
They might eventually get to that level, like
right,
give them time.
They just tint the whole city and gas everyone in it.
Yeah, it's like, well, we tried the non-violent approach of only shooting a few of you. I guess we'll have to use a heavier hand now.
If I haven't made my stance clear, the Chinese government is as bad as they ever were. They're just more competent at it. Like the illegal organ trade, if you go to prison in China, there's a very good chance they're just going to wheel you in, chop you up, and fucking like sell your organs. They do that to prisoners all the fucking time. This is not some dystopian conspiracy theory. This is a thing that happens.
Yeah. I mean, all we really need to do is get Xi Jinping some honey, and that would distract him long enough for us to like seize power away from him and hand it back to the people. But I guess they have like too many tariffs on honey for him to get it. I'm calling him Winnie the Pooh here, if I'm not being clear. Silly old bear.
I'm calling him an asshole, and I hope he gets hemorrhoids.
Why can't his friend Piglet talk some sense into him? I mean, just talk to Rabbit or Owl or Eeyore, and they can set him right.
Although I do feel that one day this will make it to China, and we will get snatched. Because it seems like they focus on weird little stuff. You know what I mean? Like in America, to get the president's attention, you need to do something big. But I feel like in China, we would just get censored as a small weird podcast.
I mean, they would probably just disappear us and no one would ever hear from us again.
They wouldn't disappear us. What they would do is they would just tell SoundCloud or anybody that hosts our podcast that they're not going to be allowed to do business in China anymore, and then we would just get booted by the American company kowtowing to the Chinese interests.
Yeah, that's probably it. But if we were actually in China, they would also be looking for ways to arrest us.
Or they would just deport us back to America, because they're pretty big on deporting people. They disappear their own citizens?
In this hypothetical, I was picturing us as Chinese citizens.
Oh, yeah. If we were Chinese citizens, we would have never gotten this far, because we'd be spending all our time working at the plant with suicide nets.
Now, in America, it's not quite that bad yet, but we're working on it. Like,
yeah.
I'm still pretty sure that Pete and I, before this is over, when Trump really gets desperate, the two of us are going straight to Guantanamo, right?
Well,
we're going to be in Gitmo
whenever
with
he
our
declares
no
himself
trial.
president for life, and then his son declares himself the next president. By the way, Don Jr., in a beautiful news story, wrote this really dumb book called Triggered about how hard it's been for his family, for his dad to be president. And he got booed. He got booed by his own crowd, not even the left. The right booed Don Jr. because he was just like, when I went by Arlington and I saw the headstones, I just really thought, about how hard it was for the veterans, and I then also thought about how hard it's been on our family with my father running for president. Basically, dying in a foreign war is just as hard as being a rich son of a fucking president.
Right? Like, Jesus Christ, I'm glad the crowd turned on him. So... Yeah. I saw that book in Books A Million, and what annoyed me is that it was just about sold out. But, when I saw, Donald Trump Jr. triggered written below him. I'm like, yeah, you absolutely are triggered. You're so triggered. You wrote this entire book bitching and whining about how hard it is to be,
Well,
a
let's stop
millionaire.
it. He didn't write the book. You know it was ghostwritten. You know everything that
Yeah.
family does is ghostwritten. They don't write their own books. It's
Yeah,
no,
they're not.
it's no,
That's not
it's
even
no
remotely
Dust Belt
possible.
Book One. Give me back my life. A story about Jerry Cage, a man who wants his life back.
Available now on Amazon.
That's what you should have done. You should have got a bunch of copies of our book and then just put it over his on the stand.
That would be wonderful. I have enough
That's-
copies. I have like a stack of them over here.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna order a box of them and I'm gonna start going around to bookstores and just sneakily putting them over like all of Trump's books.
By the way, Dusk Belt Book 2, The Super Lad, is now about like 80% written. I would have finished it today, but like, God, I'm going to be gone doing, working most of the
let's
day.
get back to some more Chinese news real quick.
So if people would like for me to churn out books faster, you need to like buy enough of them that could be my full-time living, and then you'll be seeing many more of them. All right,
So,
back to your news.
As you may know, there's an ethnic minority in China, the Uyghurs. I guess they're Muslim. Anyway, China is systematically wiping them out, basically putting them in prison camps, or as they call them, re-education camps, putting pro-government like monitors in their homes. And it doesn't, even if you escape to like another country, China will like send you a letter and go, hey, your great Aunt Ethel is still here. Be a real shame if she were re-educated to death. You ought to come back and go to prison.
Yeah,
So like
that's a real thing that can happen.
So they are systematically destroying these people. Now they're sending men to sleep in the same beds as Uyghur Muslim women while their husbands are in prison camps. I can only assume they're trying to do what the English were trying to do in like Scotland and Ireland back in like the 1200s, where they're like, we'll breed them out,
Bring
right?
out of existence. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fucking insane that like they're gonna make an entire ethnic minority just disappear through a series of planned imprisonments and rapes and killings and stuff.
So yeah, maybe we should work more towards freeing Hong Kong, the revolution of our time.
I still like. Well, here's the other big problem. People don't realize. So all this stuff's going on in Hong Kong. Guess who's really been upping the rhetoric about Taiwan?
Who?
China. They want it back, and they want it bad. Like they had a very, it was a very like Chinese speech where they were like, it is our destiny to deny the you Chinas, and we will not be denied. Like they're coming after Taiwan, and Taiwan's like, oh fuck, because the United States has been the balancing force for the long time, basically keeping a free Taiwan.
Right, and right now America is like falling apart because we have a dictator running the country into the ground.
And so like China's like, I'll take that and that and that and that and that.
And Trump will be like, and I'll even help you out, China. Okay, I just need some dirt on Joe Biden. All right, bigly.
Well, like, and I feel bad for Taiwan because if you don't know, so the Chinese Civil War happened, the communists won, the rest of the Chinese government fled to Taiwan and basically lived there in exile. It became its like own country, but like they considered themselves the real China. China considered themselves the real China. So there's been like a little mini China sitting on the coast of China. China's wanted it back for a while, but they haven't really like they haven't really been able to like go against the U.S. to get it back. Right. But now it's open season, so good luck, Taiwan.
Yeah, fuck. I mean, if they can hold on for not even an entire year, we're what, 359 days till the election? Something like that. So they don't even have to wait an entire year, and we might be able to boot the current orange asshole out and finally get, like, the real adults in the room to be in charge again.
Yeah, but I mean, who knows what China's timetable is, man. But even after we get a new president, like, how do we now...
there's going to be so much work to be done. That
the
probably won't be priority one.
Number one, the balance has been tipped, and I honestly am kind of against messing in other people's backyards, number one. But two, China's terrible, so I don't really have a problem messing in their backyard to keep Taiwan free and this, that, and the other. But they're growing to the point which eventually we're not going to be able to do that without an act of war. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're growing strong enough that like we're just gonna have to respect that, like they're fucked up, but that's their backyard.
Yep. So you know what we need to do as soon as we get a Democrat president, Senate, and House is expand the Supreme Court by another like 3 or 4 seats and put nothing but like far left Democrats in each of those seats. That way, the SCOTUS will be majority liberal, and then once the Dems actually have control of everything, then we can just start enacting liberal policies left, right, and center. And Fox News and all the right-wing pundits on AM radio will just be freaking the fuck out. Well, and at first it will rally the base, but I believe their base will eventually suffer from outrage fatigue, the same way a lot of people have with Trump. It's really hard to stay mad for this long.
Every time they were gonna boycott Nike, they were gonna boycott Keurig, they were gonna boycott all these companies because they did something leftist, and it didn't hurt that company's bottom line at all. Because sorry guys, face it, the right does not have the buying power that everyone else does.
Yeah.
You have a very niche buying power. There's a small niche area that like you influence, but everything else is like, nope, doesn't really matter.
I mean, most of the money goes to people on the right, but that would be, wealthy billionaires that are looking up for their own bottom line. So they're able to keep the right-wing people in power because they know that's the best way for them to make a little bit more money and just squeeze a few more pennies out of people at the cost of the entire middle class, up in the taxes on the middle class while the wealthy get tax cuts. That's what Trump's tax scam did, by the way. It's going to exponentially increase taxes on the middle and lower class at to the benefit of the wealthy, which, by the way, the benefits that the wealthy saw from that tax scam, that it's already disappeared. It bipped up for a bit and then it went back down to normal, and that's fine. They had like one good quarter, but the damage that it caused to the middle class is going to last for about 10 years.
Right. So speaking of which, I saw a great meme the other day, and the meme said, if you combine the money of the top 55 billionaires in the United States and took all their money, it would only run the American government for 9 months. Maybe the problem isn't billionaires. Maybe it's, government spending or something. I go, all right, well, number one.
Wrong?
Well, number one, if I can't remember if it was 55, I think is it 55 or 550? Anyway, whatever. If 550 individuals out of a nation of millions have enough wealth to completely run our government without cutting any services for 9 months, that's too much fucking money. You know what I mean? 550
$1 billion is honestly too much for any one person to ever have. If all these billionaires would just help people out, then everyone could live on $75,000 a year.
Nobody's saying kick in fucking Jeff Bezos's fucking door and drag him out into the street screaming.
No, because he's, he's still a bit of a monster, but he's not nearly as big of a monster as the Koch brothers. I say kick in the door of the one surviving Koch brother and drag him out into the streets kicking and screaming.
I think the one surviving Koch brother, we should dig up the dead one and throw the live one in the coffin with the dead one and rebury him.
Yep.
Just bury him alive. Like
they're not elected officials, so that's okay to say, I think. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, they're basically the unelected government. But anyway, my point is,
that's true. They are the plutocracy.
That amount of money is dangerous to democracy, which is why you need basically how you had it's the same reasoning that we had antitrust laws back in the day when companies grew too large. And they were threatening democracy and they were threatening the government because they basically ran the government. We need antitrust stuff again for 2019, Gates and fucking Bezos and all those guys with those ridiculous holdings. Their holdings need to be broken up so that they don't threaten the power of the government which they are under.
Yep.
So I saw that meme and I go, all right, so this is a pro-billionaire meme, but I want to be like, well, what's your point? So these guys should just keep their billions, but then we just stop giving food to hungry kids? I don't know what you want.
Yeah, it's just rich people propaganda, just a way to tell people, quit looking at over here. Stop blaming me for all of your problems, even though I caused them. It's like, well,
I just, I just want, this is why, all right, you want to do that? Fine. Then I get to choose what my fucking taxes go to, and I'm going to find out where every billionaire lives, and I'm going to make sure that, I'm going to start our thing to say, if we control where our taxes go, that we don't fund a police or fire department or roads or any essential services where all the billionaires live. You got billions, pay for it yourself, asshole.
Yep.
But then that probably leads to private armies, and that's a whole other problem. So I think we got time for one Dear Wesley.
I was looking at the time, and we have about 5 minutes. So let's hit him with a
So
quick Dear
this
Wesley.
Dear Wesley is just for you, Pat.
Okay.
Because it's a particular problem you've had. And it says, Dear Wesley, dinner out is an unwelcome gift for couple on restricted diets.
Ah.
Dear Wesley, my companion of many years and I are retired, and we live a few hours away from some of his family. When one of them plans a visit, she always insists on taking us out for a meal. She doesn't ask if we would like to eat out, but rather commands it. And then she insists on paying for the meal. All right, so already right here, it seems like this person is complaining about problems that aren't a problem.
Yeah, it's a free meal that they insist upon, and the reason why they're insisting is because they probably feel like you're being modest by turning them down.
Right.
I mean, okay, go along with it. That's not the worst thing in the world.
She insists on paying for it. What a bitch. I enjoy cooking and visiting with family during and after meals. I know what our dietary restrictions are, and most restaurant meals do not meet those requirements, which include low sodium, fat, sugar, and no gluten. According to my companion, I'm a good cook, and he enjoys everything I make. I know I should say something, but what? I need a suggestion on how to deal with the situation without hurting anyone's feelings. Thanks, but no thanks.
Here's what I would say.
Okay, because you're gonna say it, and I'm gonna give the fucking I got a few things to say to this person.
So nobody's ever gotten fat off of one meal. So just like enjoy the one meal out. What is it, a month?
Something
Enjoy
like
the
that,
meal.
yeah.
It's not gonna hurt you, and then go home and keep eating healthy otherwise. Like whatever you're eating 95% of the time is what affects your weight. It's what affects your health. Just having a rare and appropriate like good meal is not gonna hurt you.
You're so well reasoned. You know that? That's what I appreciate about you, because I'm real salt and vinegar about this.
Thank you. But that's what I had to say.
Oh, sorry. So my thing is, go fuck yourself. Every restaurant on the planet has healthy, low sodium, gluten-free. That's the world we live in. McDonald's has fucking salads. You can go to McDonald's and go, oh man, I don't want any of this. They've got apple slices. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can just get a fucking big thing of vegetables from fucking McDonald's. Where are they taking you that have no menu options? You fucking piece of shit. Like, God, this person makes me mad. It, like, even Shoney's. I don't know if anybody listening remembers Shoney's, but they still kind of exist.
I remember.
Shoney's, the one that's got like the mile-long breakfast bar. I tell you what we'll do. We'll make you a chicken fried steak surfboard. You can surf your way through the gravy till you get to the mashed potatoes. Like, even they have vegetables.
That sounds delectable.
Right?
Yeah. I went to Chick-fil-A, the place with the anti-gay hate chicken the other day, because I had a coupon for a free hate sandwich. And
I had a coupon for hate, so what do you want me to do?
I mean, you can't taste the bigotry, but you can taste the delicious chicken. So I went there and I got the sandwich, and I looked up on the board and I realized that they had like alternatives to fries listed. It's like, don't want fries? How about one of these?
Yeah.
And one of the things they had listed was a fruit cup. So I ordered that, and it was wonderful. It was really good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so the restaurants don't always. They do. They absolutely do. You are just an asshole. You know what I mean? Also, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I eat at Chick-fil-A, and I'm not going to stop, and here's why. You ready for this?
Yes.
I own an iPhone. You know why that affects why I eat at Chick-fil-A?
Why?
Because I'm carrying around a token of child slavery in my pocket at all times.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm already horrible. So
like I know one guy who this sort of along the same lines of bringing back China earlier too, saying that he's boycotting Blizzard products forever because he's never going to buy another Blizzard thing again because of the whole they suck Chinese cock, right?
Right.
They want that Chinese money more than they want people to be able to speak their minds.
Would you say that they suck Xi Jinping's ping?
Yes, I would. I'm usually the pun guy too. But yeah, so fair enough. I absolutely can respect someone that wants to boycott someone for a noble reason. However, the same guy still uses a cell phone, right? Like, he's still using a phone that was made by the hands of people in a factory where the conditions are so despicable they have to put suicide nets outside the windows to keep their employees
Yep.
from killing themselves from
Yep.
how much they're suffering.
Yep.
He's still carrying that around just fine. Like, that,
Yep.
the people that make the tiny components in that phone will pass off the savings to Samsung or Droid or whatever or Apple. Those companies still profit off of suffering, and he is still benefiting from the suffering of others.
Yep.
So, my moral stance is, fuck it. I'm just going to keep buying Blizzard games, and I'm going to keep using my phone because there's too much suffering in this world to completely avoid it. I would have to shut myself off and be a hermit if I wanted to completely
I would have to tear
dodge it all.
I would have to tear every stitch of clothing off my body because so much of it is made in just tear it off and run into the woods.
Child labor
and I'm
camps,
sure,
yeah.
even if I tore all my clothes off and ran into Central Park, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna live in the park. Did you know that Central Park was actually created when they completely bulldozed a community, I believe, of former freed slaves that had built their own community in the middle of Manhattan? They bulldozed it to make a park. I can't even get away from it there.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, don't give to Chick-fil-A. Sure, it supports hate, but also, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go to Popeyes? You're gonna get a Coke? Did you know that Coke is responsible for fucking thousands, maybe millions of deaths worldwide because of their water policies in foreign countries? There's no way to get away from it, but you can still get a reasonable low sodium meal at almost any restaurant you go to.
Yep.
So
all right.
Yeah.
Hit him with the socials, Pete.
You can find us somewhere on Twitter. We have an email address that you can also probably find. Pat, what is that email address?
Thosemuckrakers@gmail.com. And also you can find us on Twitter at Thosemuckrakers on Twitter.
Yeah, pretty much. Man.
And like we brought up our book earlier, Dusk Belt Book 1 is still available, and Book 2 will be coming very soon, definitely this month. I just need time to sit down, smash through the rest of it, make Pete do the second draft, and then we will fight with Amazon's really, really difficult to work with system of publication until it all looks fine. And then also we'll have to do the whole song and dance of getting the cover made. It'll be fun.
It'll be cool. Well, I guess until next time, guys, just remember that literally everything you enjoy in the modern world is built on human suffering. And I guess get naked and run into the woods and be the change you want to see in the world. I don't know. Fuck.
If it feels good, it's a sin.
Or suck Shiji's ping. I don't know. I'm just trying out different closing lines at this point.
If sucking Xi Jinping's ping makes you feel good, it's a sin.
Maybe that's what we need to go back to. Everything that's tasty is a sin.
I'd imagine his ping tastes like honey.
Oh, man, that'd be delicious.
Is all this staying in?
Sure. That's what she said.
We didn't do a Wesley impression today. What was Wesley's answer to the food thing?
What you gotta do, you gotta go to the restaurant and order some pizza bread. And when they go, what's that? You just go, oh, God damn it, I can't eat here. They don't have pizza bread. See? And no one will have pizza bread, and the only way you can get it is by making it at home.
You gotta, whatever the, oh my God.
Well, see, here's what you gotta do. See, whenever they come by and offer to buy you a meal, you say, well, I don't want to eat at a restaurant. I want to eat at Fred's. Because Fred's has a loaf of bread, and it has ketchup, and it has all the stuff you can make pizza bread with. And then you just go to the restaurant and ask them if you can use their oven in the back. And when they say no, you say you and yours, and then you go home and make it.
That's the Wesley, the Wesley take. All right, well, until next time, guys. Fuck if I know.
Remember to keep your gunpowder dry.
Yeah, we got to stop talking about gunpowder in the same podcast we talk about the president.
I mean, we talk about both in all of them, so that's...
God, we've left a mountain of evidence. We've left 92 one-hour pieces of evidence behind us.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, the golden line on this dark cloud is that, I mean, in Gitmo, they don't actually give you trials, so,
Well,
none of this evidence is going to do anyone any good.
Well, the best part about this, I think, is that we won't get popular until we're trying to scrub the internet of our podcast so that we don't get arrested. And then
the
it'll blow up.
Streisand effect.
Yeah, and then people will be
Oh,
like,
that would
this
be
is the best
wonderful.
ever. We're like, no, don't talk about it. We're trying not to go to jail.